Hey everyone, welcome to the Fortress of Solitude podcast. I'm your host, Sergio Pereira, and I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Jarrod Saunders. Jarrod, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. It's very cold. It's going into winter, but yeah, it's nice to be on.
Please don't make this podcast boring talking about the weather. This is literally what we've come to, that we talk about the weather. It's like that's how bad it's become.
Oh, no, it's real. It's when I'm getting cold that we need to talk about the weather.
Oh, wow. Well, guys, obviously today we are going to be discussing, as you can see in the title, Riders of Justice. Now, in case you don't know about the movie, it's actually a Danish film that's directed by Anders Thomas Jensen, and it stars Mads Mikkelsen. And Jarrod and I actually saw a while back, we saw the trailer. I think you actually sent me the trailer, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, yeah, I saw the trailer, and then I was like, I got to see that movie.
And it looked really, really good. The trailer was like, you know, it seems like a bit of a revenge story, and you know, like the premise is this guy, you know, his wife and his daughter on a train. There's a massive accident. His daughter survives. His wife passes away, and then somebody that was on the train there kind of comes to him and tells him, you know, he believes that it was something more than just an accident, that it was a planned hit. And then obviously from this trailer, you see a whole lot of action, and it kind of felt a little bit like John Wick, sort of, you know, maybe even Nobody with Bob Odenkirk as well, what you saw. It felt like that sort of movie, right?
What's cool about it is that it, you know, there's quite a few of these sort of action movies out there right now. John Wick, Nobody, you know, and of course Liam Neeson doing his Taken thing, and it's just, we get to see this guy. It's the same sort of thing, yeah, but it's different, you know. Like when you watch the trailer, you know this is going to be one of those kick-ass action movies. But when you watch the film, it's a lot different, and I dug that about it a lot.
Yeah, it really did surprise me, because judging by the trailer, I was expecting like a full-on, you know, action revenge thriller, you know, taking place. Yeah. And it does start off that way. I mean, like, that's the thing. Obviously, it's got a bit of a comedic element to it at certain points, and like some of the characters involved, they are quite funny. But it's also like you kind of get this sort of vibe. All right, this is going to go in the action sort of revenge genre, and then it completely like it flips it on its head. Like, you know, throughout the movie, you're like, whoa, okay, hang on a second.
Yeah,
you know, and it actually becomes a discussion about grief, and I think, you know, about death, and how, you know, sometimes we try to understand and make reason of the inexplicable. And I thought that was like very, very powerful. Like the message, it was just something which it just really kicked you in the face, like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah, and it fits so well into the film. Like, it comes out of nowhere as a surprise, right? Like when it happens, you're like, wait, what? What's going on here? I thought there was supposed to be like just violence all the way, and then they hit you with this deep, you know, reasoning about why vengeance is bad, or how you could get this stuff get twisted in this whole thing, you know. But they give you this deep message, and you feel it because you've been part of this character's story the whole way through. You like really feel it when he comes to terms with, you know, what everything that he's done.
And I think also what's quite nice about it's a nuance, because there's certain areas, like, you know, for example, it's got this traditional sort of trope where, you know, the lead character, like, no, I'm a hardened, you know, army man. I don't need any help. I don't need any psychological help. I don't need to believe in a higher power. You know, I just need to get revenge. You know, I need to bottle up everything. And, you know, you see those certain tropes, but then you start realizing those tropes start like actually leading to something more. And eventually, but like I say, you know, obviously the act 3 of the movie, you start seeing how all these things have actually impacted the character. It actually has a purpose. You actually start seeing that it's that other aspect of, like, you know, you can't harden yourself from the world. Eventually, you are going to explode. You are going to have a very negative reaction. And I think especially for, you know, Maz, his performance, I think it's sensational. Like the way that he did, there's little nuances, that just the way that he actually managed to show a man that's, you know, obviously like emotionally distant, but eventually, you know, like he kind of unravels. That's basically what it's about. I mean, it's him unraveling.
Yeah. And what's cool is, like, the thing that I liked so much was, like, he meets these characters, and they sort of, like, he's supposed to be this hard guy, right? And he's supposed to be helping them, or they're kind of assisting him, but he's the hard guy. He's the guy who's got it together. And then as the story goes on, he's not the one that has it together. Like, they actually have overcome stuff that he needs to deal with. And they sort of become this family, you know, like even with his daughter in the film, they all sort of need each other to, you know, fix what's broken inside them.
No, absolutely, yeah. And I think also the way we start uncovering like the characters, you know, like because there's especially two characters that are like quite comedic, you know, like I always say, you know, like it's Otto is one of the guys. Well, Otto is like the main sort of guy there, right?
Yeah.
And Otto's the one that like I find he's got it together, a little bit funny sometimes as well, the guy. But I think Leonard and Marcus, especially those two, like they are the comedic relief of the movie. But at the same time, once you start diving into their stories and you find out the stuff that's happened to them in their lives, it's actually kind of tragic. You start and you're like, wow, okay. It's like, I just found that even with these characters are supposedly comedic relief and they, you know, fun characters, there was just such a deep story behind it. There's something more, like even like they felt like real humans. You know, like you kind of look at, you know, all these action films and, you know, it's kind of like it's a prototype. That's what you get. It's a prototype. Okay. It's typical, you know, strong action man, you know, funny comedic relief, you know, somebody to bounce off, you know, for the levity of the small moments. But here you actually had like full-fleshed characters.
Yeah. Before we continue, I must say this, that at the moment we're selling it like this really deep movie, which it is, but it's also fun. You know, it's funny. Like when it's funny, you laugh. When it's serious, it's serious. When there's action, the action is like explosive and good. So don't go away thinking like, oh my word, I'm going to have this super long lecture for 2 hours. It's actually a genuinely fun movie. And it's, you know, you're sitting there and you're laughing and you're enjoying it, everything. And then they hit you with the, you know, the hard stuff.
But it's like this is the thing about the movie. Even with the name Riders of Justice, that sounds like it's purely out of the 80s, you know, like sort of thing. And it's just like, I mean, even now, I mean, I'm on a Wikipedia page and it's described as a Danish black comedy drama film. And you're like, but I'm like thinking, okay, but there's also action to it. There's so much actually going on in the movie. And that's the weird thing. It's like, normally you think, okay, this is like, it's all over the place. It's going to be a complete mess. And it's not. It's actually, it just works. Like everything there is just, it comes together. And I think like by the end of it, I was like, whoa, this is a really, really cool movie. I mean, for me, like after watching this movie, like I thought to myself, okay, it's going to be an action flick, you know, awesome. You know, I'm going to watch it on a, you know, Friday night or, you know, and just relax, you know, and just enjoy, you know, seeing somebody kick somebody's skull in. That's effectively what you do on a Friday night, right? And then eventually it's like, what? Like this is something more. This was something quite deep. And I honestly think that this movie needs to get a lot more hype. I know a lot of people tend to have like, you know, there's still a large portion of like society that they don't like foreign films. Oh, I don't want to read the subtitles. Get over yourself, because you know what, you're missing out on really good films. And I honestly think that this for me was just, it caught me out of nowhere. I'm like, I actually must say it's probably one of my top films that I've watched this year. Yeah.
It was really good. Now, it's funny you mentioned about the reading thing, because at first I was like, oh my word, I'm going to have to read for quite a bit. But as you sort of watch it, you know, you pick up, as it picks up momentum, you don't reading anymore. You don't feel like you're reading anymore anyway. Because you're laughing and you're into the action stuff and all that. So it's really not that bad. It's sad that this film won't be in any local cinemas because of that, though.
Yeah. But I mean, look, I think like, you know, especially streaming services like Netflix, I think specifically like Netflix as a brand.
Yeah, this would have done well on Netflix.
It's done really well in the sense of that it's shown us a lot of foreign films, a lot of foreign series, and it's brought people in. I mean, like stuff like Dark. And I mean, obviously we can talk about The Night Comes for Us, like all some. It's like foreign movies, you know, with subtitles, and like eventually you're like, hey, there's a whole world out there besides Hollywood or like, you know, British. We can actually watch all these great films. And I think that's the thing. It's like, it's actually saying to people, you know, we actually need to embrace more cultures and stop, you know, just relying on, okay, everything that's Western, that's what we accept, you know, like, oh, that's the only entertainment we consume. And I think stuff like this, you know, Riders of Justice, that's obviously got, you know, it's in a different language, but it's such a great story, such a great movie. And I mean, for me, that's the thing. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't see it being released in cinemas. I mean, I would say a couple of years ago, maybe Cinema Nouveau, but like obviously the way that things are going at the moment, I don't think a lot of people are taking risks like that. that. But it's definitely a movie worth checking out. Like if it's available, like on your Apple TV or Amazon, I would recommend to someone to definitely check it out because it's really such a good movie. And the one thing about it that it made me realize is how Maz does not get the praise that he deserves as an actor. I think this guy is one of the most underrated actors working today. I know he's got a fan base because of Hannibal.
Dude, he's amazing in this film. Like he'll blow. I think he's probably one of the best actors in Hollywood right now. I mean, he's absolutely amazing in this thing. Like he gets the emotional moments right, and he gets the the hardcore action stuff right. He's fantastic. Like they basically built the whole movie around him, right, and his performance, and I think it works so well.
It does, and it makes me like wonder why Hollywood hasn't picked up on it even more. I remember like the first movie I think I ever saw him in, if I'm not mistaken, was Casino Royale, and I was like, okay, this guy's got something, but he was always getting cast in sort of like villainous roles. Like a lot of
he's always a bad guy. Yeah, he's always a bad guy in something.
And like obviously Hannibal was massive. I mean, the fact that nowadays people can actually look at him as Hannibal Lecter over Anthony Hopkins. So Anthony Hopkins is that is remarkable. The fact that they can
that is insane.
That's insane.
When they first announced that he was cast as a Hannibal, I was like, this guy looks nothing like Anthony Hopkins.
But the thing is,
how is he ever gonna survive? But he did a fantastic job.
The thing is, if you read the books, like Hannibal has got some sort of Eastern European descent, if I'm not mistaken. So when you see Maz or whatever, okay, it's a European actor for characters supposedly have European like roots. I completely get that. That's perfect. I mean, Anthony Hopkins is we all know he's very British, and even in the Silence of the Lambs and even Hannibal, he was like, I didn't see that sort of. But obviously, it is Anthony Hopkins, and he's always going to deliver an amazing performance. So the fact that Maz has actually managed to convince everyone, like, okay, he's a superior Hannibal now, it just goes to show. Like, I mean, if he can take one of the legendary actors out of the running of an iconic part, I still don't know why this guy isn't even bigger. Like, to be honest with you, I think that they should just cast him in absolutely everything.
Yeah, it's surprising though that they haven't actually made him a lead in many movies. Like this is the first one I've seen where he's actually a lead. Usually he's like either the villain or he's not the main guy in the thing.
Yeah, I mean, what was that movie that he was in recently that I watched? It was Chaos Walking, I think. And he was still fantastic in that movie as well. I mean, even though that movie was a bit, it wasn't the greatest.
I couldn't get through that film, to be honest with you. I found the whole noise thing very annoying. And people talking to themselves.
Yeah, look, I think that movie struggled in a sense because of that. Because I think it was a concept where on paper, like in the book, it makes a lot of sense because obviously you can have a lot more, internal monologues between the characters and that sort of thing. It plays off easier. To put that in a live action film, it's very difficult, and I think that's
very annoying. That's what it is.
Yeah, but I think, with Maz, he did such a good job in that film as well. I thought he was fantastic. And again, I'm just reminded that he's such a great actor. And I know everyone's always thinking, okay, comic book movies, we just need to cast him. I mean, I know he was attached to be Doctor Doom, which I think would be like a perfect casting, but I still think that he just needs more recognition. And I think after this movie, his range is just...
Yeah, and stop making him a bad guy and everything. He can do a good guy as well.
His range is unlimited. Like, honestly, as an actor, I think his range is super underrated. And look, I must say, the whole cast for this movie, I thought they were really good. I enjoyed it. And I just find that the way that everybody played off of each other was just, it felt natural, it felt authentic. It just was a really good movie. But I mean, for me, if I had to rate it, I would definitely probably say I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Oh yeah, I would give it an 8.
An 8.
Yes.
Why are you taking off a 0.5, Jarrod? Do you just have to be difficult?
Just to be difficult, yes. We can't give the same score. 8 is this.
Oh wow! So we can't give the same score. So now what? Now we're gonna go into if I had to go watch. Let me think. The greatest movie of all time, Mortal Kombat. Yeah, if I had to give that movie,
Mortal Kombat, the greatest movie of all time. I don't know.
It's better than Citizen Kane. That is my Twitter feed. That is my Twitter persona. Mortal Kombat is better than Citizen Kane. But you always go and give these random scores that I don't. So we always But I'm glad to see we are 0.5.
Yeah, what's the extra half for?
Just because I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was for me, it was just such a good movie. Like, it was unexpected, I think, more than anything else.
No. I agree with that completely.
I'll be honest. I thought I was going into it expecting a 6.5 to 7 out of 10 movie. Like, that's honestly, because I thought, okay, it's going to be an action flick.
I agree.
I'm going to have a great time. And it surprised me. It really did. I thought it was deeper than it had any right to be, judging by its name.
The third act is fantastic of this film.
And even the trailer.
Best part, yeah.
I think it's look, I think there will be some people maybe coming out of it a bit disappointed in the sense of that, the trailer doesn't really match what the movie actually ends up being, in a sense. But I still thought it was handled well. It's not like Mother, like Aronofsky's Mother, where everyone thought it was a horror movie and it was just something weird. It's not like that, in that sense. Because I remember people were angry about that movie.
I was going to say, now I do think that Mother is a horror movie, but let's not go into that.
That's a podcast for another time. We'll get into it another time. But thanks again, Jarrod. It's been awesome having you on, as always. And to everyone else at home listening, thanks again for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop us a comment. Let us know if there's any other topics you'd like us to cover, any movies that we are missing, any TV shows. Just let us know. Until next time, peace.
Okay, cool.